Dr. Christopher West of Theology, the Body Guy here. What is wrong with two people, consenting adults, having sex? Maybe nothing. Maybe all kinds of things. In this video, we're going to take a look. In our world, sexual morality all comes down to one thing: two people consenting. That's what makes it okay in our world. And so people respond, what's wrong with two consenting adults having sex? Maybe nothing, but maybe all kinds of things. We're going to continue looking at some of the questions in my book, Good News About Sex and Marriage. If you're interested in learning more, you're enjoying this content, subscribe and also check out the link for this book. Okay, let's jump right in. What are people saying to each other by having sex? Is it in keeping with the true meaning of sex? Does sex even have a meaning? Is it in keeping with the dignity of the person? Is it honest? Is it loving? Do these questions even matter to us? What is honesty? What is love? What is the dignity of the person? All of these questions are on the table when we're talking about having sex. When I first wrote this book back in the year 2000, there was a general consensus that sex and love still belonged together. But today, that notion has almost gone out the window altogether. Check this out. Today, the hookup culture has almost completely erased the notion that love need have anything to do with sex. As one college student put it, quote, in the past, it would be, let me take you on a date, let me get to know you a little bit before we take it any further, versus now, you get a girl's number and it's all about having sex. Then he concludes, sex is nothing. Sex doesn't mean anything anymore. Sex is just about pleasure. All right, let's think about that for a minute. If sex is just about pleasure, then what does the person you're having sex with become, other than an object for your pleasure? John Paul II holds out this truth to the world. And if I look honestly in my own heart, I think it's true. The human person does not want to be treated as a thing. The human person does not want to be treated as a means to someone else's pleasure. Here, he says, the opposite of love is not so much hatred. John Paul II says, rather, the opposite of love is using a person as a means to my own selfish end. If this is what sex becomes, just my using another person for my own pleasure, then I would suggest you think on it, you chew on it, you draw your own conclusions, but I want to propose to you that using and being used in a sexual relationship is not what the human heart is really looking for. It doesn't correspond, I would say, to the dignity of the person. We long not to be used, we long to be loved. But what does that mean? Let's keep going here. Here's another quote from a college student. Our generation has given up on love. It's easier to find, pardon me, but as she says, it's easier to find a buddy than a boyfriend. This is what one female college student explained during spring break. Love is not real, another one insisted. It's like this fictitious thing that society has invented to justify having sex with somebody. While it might be hard to find a more depressing and pessimistic view of human relationships, I think she's on to something that we really need to take an honest look at. If we're just in it for the pleasure, but then we call it love in order to justify it, that's not honest, that's not real, that's obviously not true love. We have to take an honest look at what we're doing in our sexual activity. Are we using someone or are we loving someone? That's what I want to propose as the litmus test for whether what we're doing is good or whether what we're doing is not good. Are we loving or are we using? But what does it mean to love? We still got to press into this. Love, I say here, is not arbitrary. Love is not whatever I want it to be. Love can't simply be equated with sexual attraction towards a person or sexual desire for a person. Love is not something that just happens to people. It's not just some hormone that we feel or an attraction that we feel or a desire that overwhelms us. Love, I would propose, is choosing the true good of another person even when it costs me, even when it costs me greatly. Let's press into this a bit and see where it goes. And in all of this, I don't want you just to take my word for it. I'm inviting you to look at the desires of your own heart to see if what I'm saying lands there. Let's take a look. When we experience emotions towards someone, attraction towards someone, sexual desire for someone, John Paul II calls this the raw material of love. He says we got to build on this foundation whether we have something we can honestly call love. And he says one of the biggest mistakes we make here is to confuse the raw material of love with the finished form of love. There's a danger that if we don't build attraction, emotion, desire into something worthy of the name love, there's a danger that we're going to end up using the person rather than loving the person. By definition, love always chooses freely, that's key word, freely, to sacrifice oneself for the good of the other. Sexual love chooses freely to make a total gift, a faithful gift, and a fruitful gift of myself to the one I claim to love. And here we can see what I would call 4 characteristics of genuine love. Number 1, it's free, right? If sex is just a response to a hormone I can't control, is it really loving? Our culture talks a big line about sexual freedom, but the culture means just follow your hormones wherever they lead you. If I'm controlled by my hormones and I'm not in control of my hormones, then I'm not free. And if what I'm doing is not free, then I want to propose it's not love. I want to ask all the ladies out there watching this video, do you want to be in a relationship with a guy who can't say no to his hormones? We could flip the question over. Guys, do you want to be in a relationship with a woman who can't say no to her hormones? We recognize intuitively that if someone can't say no, their yes doesn't mean anything. And we end up being an object of that person's sexual pleasure. There's a little kick we can get from being the object of someone's sexual pleasure, but it doesn't reach the deepest desire of my heart for love. And that relationship is always threatened when it's based on pleasure. Because if it's based on pleasure, if I'm no longer giving the person pleasure, the person is going to say, see, I'm going to get my pleasure somewhere else. We have to base, I would say, propose it to you, you think on it, you chew on it. But if we're looking honestly at what the human heart really desires, I propose it can't just be based on you giving me pleasure and I giving you pleasure. That's 2 people using one another rather than loving one another. Love has to be free, and it has to be a total gift of self, an unreserved gift of self, a faithful gift of self, and a life-giving gift of self. Why, people say? Why does love have to be free, total, faithful, fruitful? For one reason, because God is love. The measure of love is love itself. And God is that love. And His love is free. His love is total, without any reservation. His love is faithful. His love is life-giving. Where do we see that God's love for us is precisely that? Jesus tells us They do not take my life from me. I lay it down freely. It's a free gift of self. Jesus tells us, I do not ration my gift of the Spirit, which is to say, I do not ration my love. It is an unreserved, total outpouring. Jesus' love is faithful. He says to his bride, the church, I will never leave you. I will never forsake you. And his love is life-giving. I have come, he says, so that my bride might have life and have it to the full. Free, total, faithful, fruitful love. That's the measure of love. The new commandment Jesus gives us is love one another as I have loved you. And the great gift that St. John Paul II gives us in his Theology of the Body is that the call to love as God loves, freely, totally, faithfully, and fruitfully, was chiseled by God right in our bodies when he made us male and female and called the two to become one flesh. This is the proposal I want to hold out to you. Sexual love is meant to express divine love. What's wrong with two consenting adults having sex? Absolutely nothing. If they are giving themselves to one another freely, totally, faithfully, and fruitfully. And you know what another name for that kind of giving is? The spousal gift of self. It's called marriage. That's exactly what a man and a woman commit to at the altar. The priest or the deacon asks them, have you come here freely to give yourselves without reservation to one another in marriage? Do you promise to be faithful to one another all the days of your life? Do you promise to receive children lovingly from God? To all of those questions, they say, yes, we do. They commit to that kind of love with their hearts, and then with their bodies, they express it when they become one flesh. When we understand this, that sexual intercourse is meant to express divine love, and that God loves us as a bridegroom loves the bride, now we understand what sex really is. Now we understand why only married people who are truly expressing a renewal of their marriage vows can say what sex really means. Otherwise, here's the proposal. You're going to end up using the other rather than loving the other. Look into your own heart. What do you desire? I have so much more to say on this topic. We're going to continue this in the next video. I also invite you to check out the links below. Consider becoming part of our patron community where you'll get ongoing formation in the theology of the body. Also consider taking one of our courses. All the information is below. Until next time, may your eyes be opened to who you really are.